Ring ring, it's time for another episode of Crossplay Conversations, the show where we dive deep on the world of video games while keeping it light. I'm your host today, Jacob McCourt, and with me, I have my two co-hosts. First off, the sneaker savant, Joseph Hooper.
What's up? Nike Bulbasaur on the Nike swoosh. I think I've worn this before, but that's my sneaker-related thing today.
It's a dope sweatshirt. It's
pretty
and
cool.
very thematically appropriate because, you know, video games. Our second co-host, the engaged one, Luke Lewis. Hello.
Howdy, gamers. How we doing?
You know, it's wild. The next time that you're going to be on this show, you will no longer be the engaged one.
Wild if
Isn't
true.
that wild? So housekeeping off the top. Obviously, if you're listening to the show on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Throw us a follow on BlueSky. We're just Crossplay Conversations because that is the easiest way to find when we deviate from the schedule. One note, Luke is going to take a little break. He is just doing all the life things at once. And so Luke's going to be off a couple of episodes, but we're going to have him back around the second anniversary of the show around August 1st. So it's going to be wild and fun, and we have something cool planned for that too. Maybe multiple things planned that are cool.
The very next episode is literally just Luke. If you think about it.
I think I could do a solo podcast at this point in my career. First episode podcast years ago? No, not a chance. Now,
I mean, actually,
I could do it. I would need some questions,
is,
like writing questions, but...
Are we teasing like the Luke and Claire exclusive? Because that is the next episode, right?
You're stressing Luke out. He's like, that's not on the schedule.
Oh, is it not? Oh, my bad. Let's
No,
let's
you're
take
good.
that off, then.
You're good.
The one I'm talking about, the one that's already recorded.
Yes,
yeah,
there is a
Guys,
cool
come
thing.
on,
Yes,
we just
yes.
talked about this.
No.
I'm like, why is everybody so scared to talk about
I
this?
knew what
This
you
is
were
like-
talking.
I did not.
Okay.
I'm like, are
No,
you
you're
telling
good.
him to record one while he's moving and getting married? I thought that's what you were essentially insinuating.
No. Side tangents aside, Claire and I at PAX East, which we'll chat more about today in this episode, got a chance to sit down with the art directors of Dune Awakening, developed by Funcom, the upcoming survival game. We also got a chance to play it. So we'll be dropping that interview in the crossplay feed very soon as of this recording. So check it out.
Very excited. And you're going to talk about the game just a little bit later.
Yes.
However, we just need to jump into it and start with our icebreaker question. The three of us just spent a lot of time, the four of us, if you include Claire. We're at PAX East 2025 in Boston, a late May edition of the PAX in the Boston. Just want to know off the top, how was your experience? I mean, you, Joseph, me and you had a tough time at the airport with lounges, but I think overall, PAX good?
PAX good for sure. I definitely felt like this was like maybe the most mellow PAX in terms of like just overall things to do on the show floor. As people who have attended many PAXs, at least one PAX a year for the past, like, I don't know how many years, excluding COVID. This year it did feel like a lot of repeats in terms of just like when you look out at the show floor and you look at the big things to do, it's like, okay, like a lot of the same names, a lot of the bigger games are the most exciting games. But when you dig into the details, when you really start combing every little aisle, there's a lot of cool stuff to see. And also I had a lot of fun times going to panels, which I haven't really gone to panels in quite a few years outside of the video game trivia. So it was nice to go to a few more of those, especially the bigger panels. And of course, meeting everybody, new and old people, is always my absolute favorite part of PAX, outside of talking to the developers. So overall good.
Yeah. Homie time is definitely the one of the best parts of PAX. Hanging out in hotel lobbies, staying up way too late. That's the PAX experience, baby. Luke, PAX experience?
PAX experience was great, as always. It was lovely to see friends, both old and new. Got to meet a lot of folks in person for the first time, which was rad. Also on the developer side, it was rad to meet folks just face-to-face after following a lot of their games for many years. But yeah, I think the caliber and quality of games was really, really strong. But I agree with Joseph that it was a more mellow time. I think I played fewer games overall in comparison to normal PAXs, but I kind of approached this as like a go with the flow, play what looks fun in the moment, and less so of like, I gotta hit these deadlines, I gotta play every single thing. And And there's also a nice push lately too with Steam demos being readily available. So it was one of those things of like making note of things just to keep an eye on. Also was something I was doing a lot. But yeah, some really lovely games which we'll dig into, but some very cool stuff. And also we'll shout out the panels as well. Some very very cool panels. Had a lot of fun with those this go around.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk about the Mafia, the old country panel
Yes,
that
we
you went
are.
to. We'll talk about maybe video game trivia at the end of the show because that was a wild time, as always. But let's just, without further ado, maybe I'll just say quickly, I always love going to PAX. The social times are great. We had a great time thanks to our friends at 61 Indie. We were able to watch the showcase early with
Yes.
other people, which honestly was one of the highlights of
Just
PAX and
delightful.
PAXes. Just getting in a room with friends, seeing Adam Gumbert's reaction or Jenny Wyndham's reaction in the flesh, while Mike Towndrow was just sitting there in the corner saying, like, please laugh at my jokes, and we always did. It was always a great time. So we're going to make sure to talk about what we loved in the 6-1 Indie Showcase a little bit later here. But yeah, just the social times and friends. I mean, getting to meet people like the No Small Games folks who we've, become fast friends with, to meet them in person for the first time was amazing. And then seeing, our old friends, Adam Gumbert from Respawn Aim Fire, the folks from Fun and Games. I could really just, go on and on and on about it. So PAX, mission accomplished, friendship, hell yeah. Hoop?
Just a little teaser. If you rewind back for the last 10 seconds, you'll see like insane flashes of light coming from my camera. I was opening countless Steam game pages. So that's just a little teaser of how many games we got to talk about here.
Hell
That's
yeah.
some
So
good
the
stuff. That's
format
some good
of
stuff.
today is we're going to talk about our games of show. If you're watching the video version, not only are you seeing flashes of light from Joseph's computer, but you're also seeing we gave out, 3 of our Game Boy trophies, if you will, to our favorite games of the show. So we'll go through those, and then we'll talk about 9 other games that we also really love that we would call our top games of show. Then we're going to go through a speed round of different games that we also loved. And then from there, just talk about the 6-1 Indie Showcase. So let's kick it off. Our 3 games of show, I will just go into it and say them. My game of show was Tanuki Pond Summer. Luke, yours was Fretless, The Wrath of Riffson. And Joseph, yours was GIGASWORD. So those were the Crossplay Conversations game of show. I'd love to start maybe with you, Joseph, if you want to talk a little bit about
Sweet.
GIGASWORD.
Yeah, shout out Gigasort one time. This game, I'll just read you the blurb that the developer put up on Steam. Balance the weight of the Gigasort, battling between brain and brawn. Solve intricate puzzles, discover covert chambers, and slash through foes as Ezra fights to reach the top of the Nestrium and recover the God Crystal within. Can he restore the world's coherency before it's too late? This game was awesome. I think the key to PAX this year for me was like simplicity is key. Like, how can you take a simple concept or a simple idea and just really polish it to the point where you're like, oh wow, this feels really good, and I'm surprised that I never thought of this. This is Gigasort perfectly, where the concept is you are a warrior, you have this giant buster sword, think of like Cloud Strife, but when you're holding the sword, you can't really jump that high, you can't move that fast. So to solve puzzles and get through some of the rooms, you have to put your sword down and start basically platforming and avoiding enemies and whatnot. I was very impressed at, first of all, the demo. Great demo. We gotta dial these in. All right, we gotta dial the demos in. I played that demo for an hour. All right, there were people lining up behind me. I'm looking over my shoulder like, damn, I'm sorry guys, but I just told this guy how excited I was to play his game. I can't put down this demo early. You can see the demo's on Steam. You can go see it for yourself right now if you go to the Gigasource Steam page. But I was just so impressed by how smart and witty these puzzle rooms were just in this first area. I'm always really impressed when a developer can balance like a puzzle being like somewhat challenging where it's not just like I'm wasting time doing like the most obvious things versus, oh wow, I actually feel smart for solving this. And Gigasword so far seems to have nailed that balance. And from what I'm what I've talked to the developer about, there's a lot more interesting puzzles to come in later areas. For example, there's an area that's all black, and to see through the level you have to grab a torch, but to grab a torch you have to put down your sword, which means you're vulnerable to enemies in the dark. Whereas you can also just take your sword and blindlessly try and stumble your way through the area, hacking and slashing at enemies that you may encounter. So just stuff like that, super interesting. I'm a big fan of the art style, very Shovel Knight inspired style. I think this game is going to be a pretty big hit for those who end up picking it up. So shout out GIGASWORD. Very polished too, from like probably one of the most polished games I played at PAX. So.
Did it feel like Rogue Legacy? Because that's the thing that I looked at it and said, man, I would love to play this game on the PlayStation Vita just like Rogue Legacy. I know that like the format is obviously different, but the big sword character and the jumps look similar.
So I've only played Rogue Legacy 2, and this game, Rogue Legacy, is in that like Dead Cells kind of camp to me, where it's like a little bit more about risk and reward and like really patience when you're kind of making it through these enemies. This was very, it's a really tight combination between like a Shovel Knight coded thing and maybe your traditional Zelda, in terms of like the enemies aren't really that tough in the grand scheme of things. Like you may do a little dodging here or there, a little Souls-like coded, but I mean like 1% Souls-like, mostly Zelda coded and Shovel Knight coded. So yeah.
I'll just add too, because I played the demo as well. If Joseph hadn't put it on his list, I would have put it on mine, but I really dug it too. And yeah, Shovel Knight was what immediately came to mind for me, but I loved the versatility of the sword. I also really love the look of the game. I think it looks really sharp and really clean. This one's being published by Akapara, and I feel like they've been on a good tear of some solid releases lately, so I'm excited to see this one come together.
Yeah. What was the second game Akapara was showing off? Because they had a double booth and they were showing a second game.
Airframe.
Yes,
Ultra.
Airframe Ultra.
Yes.
Yep. Yes.
It's a cool
Which
one
also
as
looked
well.
like a cool little racing game.
Hell yeah.
So that was GIGASWORD from Joseph. Luke, your game of show was one that I think we've talked about on this show before. From Ritual Studios. This is Fretless, The Wrath of Riffson.
Yeah, so this is one I know was also at PAX East last year, and I believe I played a Steam demo at home of this one at some point, so this wasn't my first hands-on, but this is my first time chatting with the devs, playing it on the show floor, and I just had such a blast with this demo. So for folks that aren't familiar, Fretless is a turn-based RPG, but all based around music. Your character uses instruments in combat, original soundtrack, and it's just such a cool, stylish game. If you enjoy things like Hi-Fi Rush and turn-based RPGs, I think you'll really like the style of this one. If you enjoy like heavy rock music, you'll really like the soundtrack. But I was just blown away, and this strikes me as the perfect Steam Deck experience. I can't wait to play it when it comes out. It was supposed to come out later this month, but it was just recently delayed to later in the summer, but still coming this year currently. They also have a demo available on the Steam page, and they also have a really, really cool vinyl of the soundtrack up for pre-order that I want to shout out. Love a good video game vinyl, but this one is definitely one you want to keep on your radar, especially coming off of games like Clair Obscur. Very different presentation, but if you enjoy that active turn-based combat that is really trending right now, this is another one to definitely check out.
Beyond that, the demo is available on Steam, and if you're listening to this either audio or video, we're linking every single Steam page that we can below, so make sure to wishlist because that is worth way a lot for the devs. They're also working on a documentary that's going to drop on the day the game comes out as well. And so for those folks who are like Psych Odyssey sickos, just like we are, there's also that to watch the day the game comes out. The unfortunate part is they were promoting a date at PAX East, and since PAX East they've had to announce that they need a little bit more time with the game, so it's now moved to coming soon. But our understanding, at least, and keep me honest, guys, is that that is just a couple of months, not a long time. It was essentially going to be out by the time this episode comes out, but they just needed a little more time.
Yeah, summer is the general window I've heard. So next few months, hopefully, but take as long as you need. But I'm super excited. As soon as it's ready, I'm jumping in.
And the thing that I loved is, they keep announcing more true, real musicians that are,
Yeah,
guitarists that are, contributing to the soundtrack. So I think this thing's gonna be fab.
definitely.
You can get the demo for this one on Steam now, also.
There's something about games that incorporate music so closely into what's happening on screen, whether that's the gameplay or the visuals or what have you. And yeah, playing this one, this is definitely one of those games where you're like, I think the attention to the sound design and the music really makes you pay attention to the little details of the game overall, just because like those tunes kind of draw your ear and eye a little better than if you would have just hidden a secret plainly within the game or anything like that. So I'm very excited to see like all the little hints and secrets and all the cool little tunes that they've like embedded in this game to kind of show off their different personalities and passions. So I'm excited.
And I'd forgotten that one of the devs is the lead character in the game too.
Yeah.
Playing.
Oh, I was gonna
make a bad joke. It's
runs
not needed.
deep. No, you're good. But yeah, the dev team, delightful folks. They're super passionate about the game. They're musicians themselves. Just really, really awesome project from good folks.
Chicago, stand up for Fretless, the Wrath of Riffson. My game of show is Tanuki Pond Summer from Denki Works. This is Liam Edwards' new project, formerly of Chuhai Labs, working on one of my favorite titles the year it came out, Curse to Golf. I got to play the demo. It is a demo that is part BMX. Think Dave Mira's PlayStation 2 game, where you're also playing a cute little fat raccoon who has to make package deliveries while he's doing BMX tricks, and also accomplish tasks for people that he's delivering packages to. And so at one point you are sumo wrestling with someone who, practices the art of sumo. You might be pouring drinks for someone at a bar, like beers at a bar. But there's this sort of undertone to it as well. As a raccoon who is the only raccoon in a city or a town of humans, you can imagine that being and feeling like an outsider is something that you might feel. So there appears that there might be also a story that'll draw you in that's underneath that. The bike good, the mini game's good. So I don't know what else to say. This is going to be a ton of fun. It is entirely my shit. And so, when I got to play it, I was like, oh yeah, the game of show done, easy. I think, did you both play this one too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Luke's like, yes.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one as well. Delightful. I was really impressed at the quality of each of the biking itself, the mini games itself. Like, I think all of the systems stand on its own. It reminds me of Dave the Diver in a sense of like, it keeps introducing new things. And I'm like, oh, these are all good and fun and neat and add to the overall vibe and package. But yeah, really, really, really delightful. And just visually, the game is just so stylish, so cute.
And Critical Reflex just keeps finding gems. I mean, their booth had, I wonder if is there another game here that we're going to talk about? Maybe
almost
not.
Had some of their stuff. Yeah, their lineup is really cool, but I love that they have like the creepiest, grossest horror thing in like a mouthwashing, which we love, but then Tanuki, polar opposite end of the spectrum, but very high quality bar across the board. So it's neat to see.
Yeah, they were showing off some weird games like Trollu, which it's almost like Papers, Please on a bus. There's also Gimmico they were showing off, which is, a game where you're literally throwing a die in sort of a Survivors-like atmosphere. And then No, I'm Not a Human, which looks like it's going to be their next big horror thing. So shout out to Critical Reflex. I'm very excited about their catalog. Plus they had a Buckshot Roulette in-person IRL game that you could play.
That was
had
popping
a line.
Off. People were raving about it. Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Should have done that in the media hour.
I know. Going back to Tanuki Pond Summer, two things. As someone who doesn't drink at all, I love a good beer pouring mini game where I'm like, that just always feels so. That's always so fun to me.
When you
for
hit
whatever
the
reason.
foam ratio just right,
I know,
come
right?
on.
You're just like, dang, look at me, look at me. I'm a little bartender. Second thing is, I loved how he was saying that this game was meant to be like played for a couple hours and then never thought about again. Like
Yeah.
I just vibe with that thinking
Mhm.
a lot as someone who likes to like play something and move on. So they know their target audience, and I think it's going to be a great short little experience to have fun with and then move on with your life.
Love it. Those are our games of show: Tanuki Pond Summer, Fretless, The Wrath of Riffson, GIGASWORD. Again, we're linking everything in the description, so make sure to wishlist these things. From here, we've got 9 titles we also really loved. I'm going to start maybe with Luke.
Sure.
I'd love for you to talk about Buffalo's Fresh Tracks. Shout out to Canada on this one.
Hell yeah. This was a really cool one. So this is Fresh Tracks is a music-based action roguelike. Visually, it really reminds me of a Beat Saber. You're on skis and you're moving through these wintry environments, slashing, jumping, and skiing to the beat of the music. Fully original soundtrack. And this was one that I was like, oh, that could be interesting. But once I got hands-on with it and really saw the game in motion, it feels amazing. It looks really solid, and the music really, really slaps. It's always anytime I hear all original music, I'm like, that's awesome. I hope it hits. And in this case, I think it really, really does. And the genres like change throughout the level, which makes things evolve in really cool ways. And then you have obviously the roguelite elements where you're picking different upgrades to assist through the levels. There's a ton of difficulty options, so you can keep it pretty simple if you want to just vibe with the music, or you can crank it up if you really want that challenge. And it got pretty tricky, at least what I was played. But yeah, really, really enjoyed it, and is definitely one that's now on my radar. Not currently slated for VR, but there was some.
Yes,
maybe this could be a
that'd be
VR
great.
game. Hinty hints, because it if you like Beat Saber, this has that energy. But that said, I think as someone who doesn't own a VR unit, I'm like, hell yeah, this isn't VR. I can enjoy this right here, right now, with a controller in hand. So.
Having also played it absolutely with you, music bumps, and was so excited and surprised to hear that, oh yeah, we're moving past electronic music and we're getting so many different genres
and like
at
the
play.
vocals were amazing, like the performances of it all, and kind of the narration aspect throughout the levels was really cool.
And initially I had, I'd been calling it, and I don't mean this in a demeaning way, but it did have like high-end mobile game energy, like games that you'd play on your iPad when the iPad stuff was like really like Chair Interactive, when they were doing, what is it, Mountain Blade or whatever the
like
heck,
an endless runner. It had like that look to it. Yeah, because I just saw a
high
GIF.
quality.
The first thing I saw of the game was a GIF.
Mm-hmm.
I think in one of the PAX emails, and I was like, that looks neat, but didn't necessarily like, I have to play this. But then walking by the booth, heard the music, saw it in motion, saw everybody, like everyone was gathered around watching people playing it on the big TV, and we were all just kind of in a trance, just bopping along.
And there may be some lore in there too. I forget, maybe it's based on Nordic mythology, maybe just a little bit. I don't quite remember, but it did look dope. Unfortunately, there's no demo on Steam for this one, but I would encourage you to look at it, because it actually, I don't think GIFs or images do it justice.
Yeah, watch some gameplay, and then I assure you it feels as good as you would hope it does, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
So, highly recommend.
I love this game, 100%. I think both of you told me about it, so I played it on literally the last day. And I was very pleasantly surprised by the music. Like I was like, oh, they're kind of cooking here. Like I was not expecting this at all. As somebody who's like played a little bit of Beat Saber, Beat Saber is a little heavy on the like electronic music in terms of like the original songs that come with the game. So like having the variety here with like all the vocals and stuff, immediately, like within my first or second song, I was like, okay, this is totally up my alley. Should I mention the AI thing?
Is there an AI thing with this one? Yeah, please do.
All right. So, and for the record, I don't 100% know that there's AI in this game. I know whenever you mention AI in gaming, it's essentially like calling someone a communist in the times of like the Red Scare. So I want to be like careful with that. But I did notice when I played the demo at the very beginning, they give you a little backstory of like, hey, this is I don't know what they're talking about, but there's like a little paragraph on screen. There's a voice reading it to you, and I noticed that the inflection points on the voice that was reading it, I was like, I've heard this before. And I've heard it because it was an AI voice type thing where, like, I think it was a woman voice, and they're like, the Nordic, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, this is not a normal person type speaking pattern. So I do think that there is maybe a little bit of AI voiceover in the game. Take with that how you will. I know that there are some people who think there should be zero AI in any games. There are some people that say as long as the core content is not AI, it's fine. I don't know which side any person listening stands on, but I just wanted to call that out, that I did notice it in there. And at the end of the day, we immediately jumped into the music, and I'm pretty positive the lead developer on the game was a musician first. So I think all of this is custom created art from them. So, take with that what you will. But
what's the shooter, the team-based shooter that came out that's got red in all of their key art that came out maybe a year ago?
It's not the finals, is it?
It's the finals, yeah. Thank you. Wow, look at that. I think the finals does something similar where they also have an AI like arena voice. Also,
they do, yeah.
It seemed comparable to that.
Yeah, but I will say the finals, that arena voice is like a key part of the game. Like that voice is there's a lot of dialogue tied in with that voice. I don't know if they ever changed that AI voice or if they kept it or whatever, but I don't think that this is nearly, at the end of the day, when you look at how many lines are in this game, I don't think it's nearly as comparable in terms of like content as the finals. The quality of the voice is very similar, but I want to make it clear that at least I haven't played the game. It doesn't seem like it's like, okay, this is like 30 hours of line reading that somebody else could have done. I think it might be way less than that. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll just add real quick, because I think we could do a whole spin-off episode on like the relevance of AI in games, or like the efficacy. I just like transparency with that kind of thing at the end of the day, so then people can make their own calls. Like if you're using AI, if you're trying to save money on budget costs and trying to do different things, just let me know so then we can make our own call. But based on what I played, I enjoyed the game, but that is definitely something to be aware of with the narration stuff.
Yeah.
That's our experience with Fresh Tracks. Joseph, your next title is Motion Wreck.
Motion Wreck, very close to being my game of the show.
Whoa.
If I had a chance to talk to the developer who was not there at PAX, they might have convinced me to put this as my game of show. Motion Wreck, once again, very, very similar to GIGASWORD. It's a very simple game. So this description is even shorter. Motion Wreck is a recording puzzle action game where you progress through stages by recording and playing back your own movements. That's the game. And this game is very, very hard to describe just over audio. I highly recommend people go to the Steam page, wishlist the game, and see what the actual gameplay looks like. But essentially, it is like it says. Like, you, at any time in the game, can hit like the RT button, the right trigger or whatever, and record your movements, whether that is like hopping up platforms or falling off a platform to a lower part of the screen or whatever. And then you can take that movement that you now have stored and you can play it back to bridge chasms, to like avoid little spike areas within like a little platforming section, X, Y, and Z. This game is so damn creative. The art style is simple, black and white, kind of like Gato Roboto style, but so charming. And the puzzles, once again, very much like GIGASWORD, but even maybe on a slightly higher level than GIGASWORD, are like, I'm blazing through these puzzles at points, but I'm also feeling like, oh man, I can't believe I got that so fast. Oh, this is so good. Oh, I'm so smart for doing this. This game nails it perfectly. I wish I had a chance to talk to the developer to understand like how long this game might be, how many puzzles are going to be in there, how many different abilities, because I already saw one ability where, like, obviously you record your playback, but then they have like these play buttons on some of the screens where if you hit a play button, then it replays your move twice. So that adds like a little interesting twist into the story. I'm sure just using common sense that there's probably like a rewind functionality or maybe like a fast forward functionality or a pause. I don't know. Like there's a lot of different directions this game can go in. And I just had an absolute blast playing this demo. I wish the demo was on Steam. It's not right now, but wishlist the game. Keep an eye out on it. Hopefully it comes to Steam Next Fest or something like that, because this one was awesome.
Yeah, I played it on Eureka, I think on the last day. I was trying to get into skateboard night the whole frickin' weekend, but I could not get time with it. But I did play Motion Wreck, and much like you, it kind of felt like a smash between, Gato Roboto in style and the way that something like Baba is you is a wrong example, but like a good puzzle game. So I appreciated it, and it's something that snuck up on me too. It was definitely like one of my faves of the weekend, and it just snuck up. It was like one station at the Playism booth, and I don't want to say it was low key, but it wasn't the most high key. And I'm like, yo, Playism, this is the best thing you got. Like, put it on four different monitors while you're here, right?
Yeah, this looks dope. I want to check it out.
That's Motion Wreck, being published by Playism. The developer on this one, I think, is a first-time dev. Help me out.
Handsome?
This one, yes, this is Handsome, published by Playism.
I love it.
My first game is Missile Command Delta. This one is being put together by 13 AM Games, who did, the Runbow games back in the day, as well as Mighty Yell. Shout out to our friends at Mighty Yell, the Canadian connection of 13 AM Games and Mighty Yell. I got to keep shouting out Canadians on this show. It very much gave me into the Breach vibes, because the game is in two parts. It is essentially a turn-based missile card game where there will be enemy missiles coming down towards your bases with every turn, and your goal is to shoot missiles in the direction of those missiles to be able to intercept them so they don't destroy your base. With that, you'll also have cards that represent different kinds of missiles. Some missiles, shoot over one turn. Sometimes it takes them like they're slower, but they have more power. And then you'll have other missiles that do sort of more special, either special patterns or they've got special abilities to them. I only played the missile part of it, but there's also beyond that what looks to be a first person mystery that's also threaded on top of this. But me just by myself playing the missile part of it and having it be so close to the feelings I got with Into the Breach, I was super into it.
Yeah, I'll jump in off of that because I played the narrative portion of the demo as well. Friend of the show, Adam Gumbert, and I did an appointment together, and it was a ton of fun. I was really impressed with the narrative angle, and that got me in way more because I'm not normally like a big tactics guy, but I did like the tactics gameplay coupled with this cool mystery story where you're exploring this bunker. It almost reminded me of, not to the same extent, but a Blueprints, in a sense that you're walking around, you're exploring these environments, you're finding items, pieces of narrative, learning more about the world, and then they're using these to unlock new areas of the bunker to discover more. And the narrative from what we saw definitely has that signature brand of Mighty Yell humor and writing and intrigue. So yeah, I was super sold on this one. This was one of my favorite things I played all weekend as well.
Rad, and they also had just a beautiful way to play it, where they set up what looked like a missile command a panel in front of you. So they had a huge screen in the center, and on the side, that like a side panel. It was all one screen behind it, but the way they'd laid it out, it really looked like you were sitting at your missile command station.
Yeah,
it was super dope. I would say like that was the best game display of the weekend, if we're giving out awards for that. That's Missile Command Delta. No date, but please make sure to wishlist that one on Steam if you'd like. Let's move on. Luke, I'd love for you to tell me about Revenant's Reach.
Yeah, Revenant's Reach was a really cool one. I stumbled upon this one on the first day, just wandering around. It was right next to the Indie Rising booth, so it like caught my eye. But it's a 2.5D side-scrolling platformer. Definitely borrows a ton of inspiration from games like Mega Man and Castlevania, but really, really dope. I ended up chatting with the dev for like 10 or 15 minutes while I was waiting to play the game, but mostly solo developed with some support from folks. But this game's been in the works for years, but it feels really, really great to play. And the 2.5D perspective does really cool stuff where when you're moving left to right or in the environment, the camera rotates you around in a 3D space. So it really gives this awesome depth of feel that I haven't felt before in a platformer. You have this cool grappling ability where you're pulling enemies towards you, you're zipping towards folks, so you're kind of pinballing around the environment, but the combat feels really good. I did a boss fight. I didn't beat the boss, but it was one of those where like I'm the type of person you got to like train a little bit to get good at some of these boss fights, but it was definitely like a doable level of difficulty and not a frustrating level of difficulty. I would say for folks coming off of games like Nine Souls, if you enjoy really solid 2D combat in a platforming game, I think this will hit for you. But yeah, absolutely had a blast with Revenant's Reach. This one's developed, the dev is Shatter Flask Syndicate.
Where was this on the floor? I did not see this.
So there was Indie Rising, and this was technically an Indie Rising game, but it was like a very small booth off of Indie Rising,
you mean like the PAX Rising thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was there, but it was like, I guess he was also part of PAX Rising last year. So then he wasn't in that like carpeted area, but he was next to that carpeted area. But yeah, this was when I like randomly stumbled upon, and then I was chatting with the 6-1 Indie crew, and I sent them all over there, and it ended up being one of their games of the show. So yeah, highly recommend, but really enjoyed it. And specifically the visual perspective was really got me of like, it's a 2D platformer, yes, but the depth of feel gave it a really unique spin that I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah, this looks kind of like a Hoopman game for sure.
Fun fact, I played this game in 2019. I think this was in PAX Rising.
Yeah, because
2019 PAX West.
It's been cooking for a long time. He was telling me, so it's
back
cool
then, like it was a speed running. Like the whole thing on the PAX floor was like speed running. So like they had like a leaderboard, and they were like, whoever beats this the fastest at PAX like wins a prize. And this was the year that Arsene came to PAX with me, and like he got really into it. So he was actually the one to let me know first at PAX. He was like, "Hey, Revenant's Reach is going to be at PAX West. I'm in the Discord. Like, you have to go by and play it." So I went to the guy. I was like, "Yeah, my buddy's in your Discord. We played this back in 2019." He's like, "Dude, no way. This is crazy. The game looks completely different."
Interesting, because the speed running mechanic is still a thing.
It's still there. Yeah,
he was sitting. The dev was like predicting. He was like watching people do like the intro screens, and he was like, "This guy's going sub 20. He's going sub 20," and it was really fun.
Yeah. So it's still there, but it's definitely more polished. It looks completely different. The art style, I think, looks a lot more refined. So yeah, that was really exciting. That's one of my favorite things at PAX, when you can actually see the progress of a game over the years. Like, that's crazy. You really can't do that anywhere else unless you're, I don't know, IGN or something. So yeah, this was awesome to see and play.
Revenant's Reach, coming soon. Please wishlist on Steam, or to be announced rather, not coming soon. Joseph, I believe we played this in the media hour, if I'm not mistaken.
We did, yeah.
This is from Pigeons at Play, published by Devolver Digital. Tell us about Mycopunk.
All right, Mycopunk, to be honest, I don't even fully understand what this game is. Join the new Atlas Hazard crew, a squad of odd robots with unique gadgets, and rid the galaxy of deadly fungal menace. So all of the like devs or something were dressed up as roaches. I don't know how that factored into it. I kind of jumped on the sticks as somebody like kind of quit and gave up on the game. And it was like a 4-player PvE. So they were all in a game together. I jumped on the sticks and just started playing. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm liking it. Like the guns were really cool. I had a gun that just shot blindly into the air, and then all the lasers froze, and then
Yes.
started like fucking doing like a missile barrage on everything below it. That was incredibly cool. I think Luke mentioned that he was putting poles in the ground that people could like,
Yeah.
Spider-Man off of.
I was playing as like a frog character doing all these moves and like swinging up to fight these like colossal skyscraper sized bosses. It was crazy.
Yeah, this one was one of those games where I don't know what the hell is going on, but the gameplay was just really fun. Like there were times where my whole squad got down. I'm picking up their legs and I have to put them with their torsos to revive them. Just silly stuff like that. And it definitely doesn't skimp on making you feel powerful with whatever random weapons that you have. So think of it as like a 90s cartoon-esque Helldivers type vibe.
Kind of like an
this
indie
was really
Borderlands.
yeah, kind of like indie Borderlands is right.
Little Risk of
yeah, this was
Rain
great.
sprinkled in there just in terms of like the
Yeah,
particles and scale, I'd say too.
The demo's out. Go play the demo on Steam. This one was a great. And I don't like multiplayer games like that, so.
And I mean, Randy Pitchford was tweeting about how, I don't know if y'all saw this, but how Mycopunk is cheaper than a point of meth and probably has fewer side effects too.
What?
That's an actual Randy
Pitchford?
Pitchford tweet for you. Yes.
Is this related to Randy Pitchford at all?
So Devolver tweeted, "Hey, you're going to be able to buy Mycopunk for you and 3 of your friends for the price of a copy of Borderlands." This ties into the $80
Well done.
Borderlands
Yeah.
4 stuff. Good tweet from Devolver.
Yeah.
And then Randy quote tweeted it and said, "Cheaper than a point of meth. Probably has fewer side effects too."
Okay, so at least he was encouraging people to play the game. Very
Not
questionable
have
individual.
meth.
Well, and then
Yeah.
yeah, he had that whole thing too of like real fans will figure out how to get the $80. Like, why are we still listening to this man? But I digress.
I'm gonna find a way to pay for Mycopunk. If I have to work in the coal mines for weeks on end, I'll find a way to pay for my copy of Mycopunk for me and 3 of my friends.
Yeah,
I'll just
there's
say it
$80
here.
in game for you.
I'll play Mycopunk. Probably won't play Borderlands. Maybe I'll play Borderlands.
Whoa!
Olivier Nelson's writing on Borderlands though, so I might play Borderlands just for him. But otherwise.
Hey, 2K, don't listen to him. Please send us a copy. Please, we'll play it. We'll play it. Please.
Yeah, at least 2 copies. Maybe just 2. I don't know. Mycopunk, the Devolver booth was popping the entire weekend. People were playing it, which we were very happy to see. And the developers were there, and it sounded like their first game, and that they are not far out of school. Also, that this is their first title. We love to see it. That's Mycopunk. My second game in the consideration category is Undusted: Letters from the Past. This was in the Toge Productions booth, being developed by 5 Min Lab Corp. This one reminded me a lot of Assemble with Care, if y'all remember that Apple arcade game that came out a couple of years ago, except instead of fixing things, you are cleaning things. So you are very much like, you have an object, whether it is a piggy bank or a Walkman or something like that, and you are given a series of tools to help you clean it up. And the goal there is like, hey, you're going to have different techniques on how to clean this up, whether it's with a rag or, a little scraper or something similar. And as you clean these objects, a story about a character, I forget the character's name. What is the character's name? It is Adora. Adora is the character's name. And as you play, you're finding out a story about, what happened with her and her family and their home. And it just seemed like a lo-fi sort of, chill game that might also break your heart while you play it. So no date on this one. This is a newer announced game that Toge is publishing. I don't know how you guys feel, but they always manage to find these cool, Southeast Asian games that tell cool stories that also may punch you in the guts.
Yeah.
Did you guys play this one?
I played this one. I enjoyed it a lot. It hit on a similar note of, you mentioned Assemble with Care. I'd also compare it to A Little to the Left or Unpacking, just in terms of like, this is totally a cozy rainy day, nice vibes. The story seemed very compelling. I was intrigued. I enjoyed what I played. Difficult show floor demo, just because it's such a like
You have to
quiet,
lock
quaint,
in.
delightful demo, and it's like, oh man, there's like so much going on around me, and this is not the vibe of that game. But I was immediately like, oh yes, I would definitely like to play this at home. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. We've each got one game left to dive in on, but Luke, why don't you tell us about your experience at the panel for Mafia: The Old Country? Did you play a demo for this, or was it just the panel?
I did not play a demo for this. It was not playable at the show floor, unless there was like some behind closed doors stuff going on that we weren't privy to, which is totally fair. But I wanted to include Mafia: The Old Country because it was my favorite thing that I saw all weekend. So we got to go. Joseph and I were invited for media seating to see the panel. So we had some really nice second row center seats to see this amazing gameplay reveal for the game. And then Greg Miller also chatted with 3 of the directors of the dev team from Hangar 13. But I was pretty blown away, to be honest. I love the Mafia series. I enjoy open world games. I enjoy mobster movies. There's just a lot about the franchise that I love. But getting to see the gameplay reveal in particular was just really, really awesome. When the game was announced, I was like, oh, that's interesting. But seeing this gameplay trailer in motion, there were so many little tidbits to the time period that I didn't factor in being involved of like, oh, it's set in Sicily in a time where they were still riding horseback through the countryside. So there's this amazing action sequence where the main character's riding horseback and being chased, and it just looks so cinematic and cool. And then hearing the devs talk about their process for the game of going to an antique car museum and recording dozens of different cars audio to include in the game and little details like that. I also just really appreciated that they talked about this just being a nice, concise, relatively linear experience. So if you're a fan of the previous Mafia games, like this is that. It's coming out for $50, which is just like stellar in 2025, coming August 8th. But yeah, this was one that we saw that presentation and I was just like, I want to play it now. I came home and I've been playing Mafia Definitive Edition on Game Pass just because I was like so in the Mafia mood after seeing this reveal. But everything about it looked really cool. The performances look stellar. The motion capture looks amazing. And I'm excited for a new setting. It's not knockoff New York. No offense to Empire Bay, but this is something different. So really looking forward to it.
This is obviously set. Can you tell me about the Mafia chronology again? Would this be technically the first game in the chronology?
This is like a prequel to the entire series up until this point. So this is the first time they've gone back to early 1900s Sicily. It's really the origin of organized crime itself, which in a concept is very cool. The main character that you play as, Enzo, the game starts and he's working in the mines. So it's like his rise from that. And yeah, there's just a lot to it. And specifically, I just think the origins of organized crime is a very cool elevator pitch of like, oh, wow, there's not really like even in The Godfather, these iconic mobster movies, it's like alluded to the old country. It's like maybe a quick flashback scene in previous Mafia games, but this is like the core of the experience. And I think that'll be really interesting. And they were talking about I have a lot. Stop me at any point. But also in relation to the combat, they were talking about like the period pieces of like in the early 1900s, they didn't have fully automatic like submachine guns. So you have a lot of bolt action rifles, and there's all this cool stuff with knives that have different stats and leveling that you can do. So there's a lot of cool stealth systems in the game in ways that weren't as much of a core gameplay tenet in this one, but this one's way more about being methodical and kind of planning your routes through levels. So I'm really excited to see how it plays out.
Is this your first experience? 'Cause I know that you said like you're playing the definitive edition.
No,
now,
I'm
did you play
a
2
big
or 3?
Mafia sicko. Yeah, loved 2 back in the day. Dabbled in 3, enjoyed it, didn't stick with it. And then the first one came out. I was too young to be playing Mafia 1 on the original Xbox. I'll just say it. So now going back to that old game, I will say the definitive edition looks and plays incredibly well, considering it's such an old game that they really brought back to life. So I'd compare it to like a Resident Evil remake in terms of like, wow, they really put a lot into this. It's not just like an up-res thing, but having a lot of fun with that as well.
Yeah, and like you said, just around the corner, August 8th for that one. Wild.
Very soon.
Very soon. Joseph, your final game on your list of big hits is Demon Tides.
Yeah, Demon Tides. This is a sequel to a little game called Demon Turf. This game is you exploring the open seas and uncovering the kingdom's dark secrets as you expressively platform your way across dozens of locales, upgrading your gear every step of the way. This game was hella stylish to me, which is why it caught my eye. I love the art style. Just in the little tutorial, I love the little personalities of the little crew you're rolling with, which really transported me back to the early, PlayStation 2 days, Xbox days, where you had a lot of these mascot platformers and like these is cavalcade a word? Like these colorful cavalcades of characters. Like this game seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. From talking to the dev, the game is content complete. They're just doing a lot of QA at this point, but they do expect it to come out this year. I think the game felt pretty fun. There's a lot of ways to platform. There's a lot of different moves you can use. Like when they mentioned expressively platform your way across dozens of locales, the developer was saying like he could pretty much watch any content creator's footage and basically tell who the content creator is just by how they're platforming, because there's so many different unique ways to like style yourself as you like platform around, which is really cool concept. I do think that the movement and things like that can still deal with a bit of polishing. I know our friend Katie played the demo and she said the ladders pissed her off. It's one of those things where you get to the top of the ladder and it doesn't automatically like mount you on the platform. Like sometimes you have to do like a weird jump thing to get off the ladder, which is never fun. And even just like grinding on the rails looked cool, was fun. But then if I'm like trying to jump off the rail or switch rails, that was also a little bit weird. So I think a lot of polish could go a long way for this game, but I loved the aesthetic and the writing and everything like that.
You almost had too many jump options.
Yeah.
And like double jump and long jump and you turn into a bat and you're like it was a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah, and I'll throw out, I really enjoyed the demo as well, but I think Jacob, you messaged in our group chat when you first played it that you were like, this is a GameCube platformer. Maybe it was you, Joseph, but and I think it has that level of kind of float to it too, where it's not quite super precise, but that almost felt intentional. But to your point, Joseph, there were moments where I was frustrated, where I was like, the character isn't doing what I thought it would do in that moment. But I think that also might just be like still learning the mechanics, but it wasn't as pick up and play as some like a Mario, but it was very satisfying. The animations were beautiful. Like there was a lot of cool things going on with it for sure.
It made me feel the way I felt when I played Penny's Big Breakaway from maybe 2 years ago. When I started playing it, because I tried it in the Steam Next Fest and it didn't click with me, and then I played the same demo at PAX and it did, but it did take my brain a little bit of time to kind of get my head and my hands around it.
Gotcha.
That one from Fabraz is Demon Tides. Final game before we go through our quick hit list here. I want to talk quickly about Birdigo. This one is being made by John August and Corey Martin, being published by Game Team 6. It is Balatro rather, but with birds and words. And so it's very much like, Scrabble bananagrams, where you have to make words. You're given, from a set of letters, letters in front of you, and you have to make words. I think it's you get something like 7 or 8 letters per round. Maybe that changes as you get cards, but you will then have to make words, and those words give you a point score and a multiplier score, and you make your way through a series of increasingly higher point total levels, gather new tiles, gather new sort of feathers, which are abilities that increase your multiplier. And I played it, and the demo's on Steam now. I played it for maybe 15 or 20 minutes and went, oh, I'm just gonna play the demo on Steam or the full game when it comes out, because they, there's no date on it right now. But from what my understanding in chatting with the folks in and around the booth, it may not be as far off as you think.
Nice.
So that one was Birdigo. I really loved it. Did either of you touch this one?
I didn't, but it looks really fun.
I didn't see this.
I like the vibes.
I need to shout out Emily from No Small Games, because I believe she talked about this when we did our episode about our most anticipated indies of the year.
Oh,
I think it was
nice.
one of those that she just kind of threw out as the increasingly large group of Balatro likes that are coming out, post Balatro.
Hell yeah. Birds with words. Let's go.
Balatro Birds and Words, here we go. So again, just to go through those 9 titles: Missile Command Delta, Undusted Letters from the Past, Birdigo, Fresh Tracks, Revenant's Reach, Mafia the Old Country, Motion Wreck, Mycopunk, Demon Tides. Let's go through a quick speed round here. We've got 6 more titles. Desktop Survivors 98.
That's me. Is this game right here? If
Ooh,
you guys are
you got
all
the physical.
watching. I got the physical. I spent my hard-earned money from the mines to purchase this game. Desktop Survivors is Vampire Survivors, but you are being guided by like Clippy from Microsoft, and it all takes place on like a Windows 90s desktop OS, which is fantastic. Also, when we're talking about some of the best booths,
That was
PAX,
my favorite
let me tell
booth
you,
of the weekend.
Yeah.
Easily.
Insane.
The commitment to the
Insane.
bit. The actual like 98 computer
keep
terminals
talking,
and
keep
everything.
talking.
It was
Yeah.
so cool. They had like turf grass to make it look like it was the screensaver. Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
And also the game was really fun. I thought it was a neat one, and it also does the thing that Rusty's Retirement does last year, where you can run it while you're doing other things. So we love a good little multitasking experience game. So
Luke's like, I get to mention Rusty's Retirement. Let's go.
I just there's listeners out there, and listeners comment so I know you're there, because I know you're there. When you hear the multitasking game, you're like, ooh, I'm intrigued. What can I play while I'm also doing other stuff?
Tell me
Love
more.
it.
Yeah, that one was red.
Dune Awakening is from you, Luke.
Yes, I will just give a quick synopsis. We got to play about a 15-minute or so demo on the show floor. It was also happening in tandem while the beta weekend was going on, and I was stoked to be at PAX, but I was bummed I wasn't at home, so I couldn't really dive into the beta, but really, really enjoyed it. As someone who's not typically into MMO experiences, I absolutely love the Dune universe, and specifically the recent movies, so I was excited to jump in. We got to run around, craft some armor and weapons. I ran out towards the end of my demo once I had completed my quests, and just to see what we could explore. If you run out into the middle of the thing, I organically encountered a sandworm attack,
hell
and
yeah.
the audio design was incredible, and you hear things going on and rumbling. So there's like, it was almost like a Mr. X and Resident Evil situation, where it was like that was just looming the entire time. But getting to see other folks, what they were doing in different sections, because they had essentially like each line of monitors was focused on like one aspect of the game. So we did the survival demo, which was focused on like the crafting systems and things, but other folks were like doing base building. And then later in the game, once you level up more, you can build an ornithopter and then go explore higher level areas. The game visually looks epic as hell. And then teasing our interview that we did, that'll be going up as well. Just the like passion from the dev team behind Dune, and the commitment to making this feel like the like pinnacle Dune game experience. I think for fans, it's really going to hit. And this was one that Claire and I don't play MMO multiplayer experiences together, but we're like planning with friend of the show, Adam Gumbert, like, okay, y'all, when are we squadding up for Dune? When are we going to build our base together, go out there? I think this one's going to get its hooks on me, so I'm really excited.
Oh, hell yeah. And again, if you're listening to this on the day it comes out in the next couple of days on this channel, Luke and Claire have that interview coming, so stay tuned for that. Ultimate Sheep Raccoon from Clever Endeavor Games.
These next 3, I think, were, for me, shout-outs, so I'll just go very quickly. But Ultimate Sheep Raccoon, from the Ultimate Chicken Horse devs, if you want another chaotic multiplayer experience, this one's awesome. It adds bikes to the equation, so you're doing almost like Trials Evolution style platforming through the levels and the same shenanigans go on. Really, really fun. Another cool multiplayer experience, Cappy and Tappy, was a really fun co-op platformer where one person is placing platforms and the other person is platforming through levels, and you're working together like quickly solve these challenges. But I thought it worked really well, and once you got the hang of things, it was a ton of fun.
I played this one with friend of the show, Katie Lesperance.
Nice.
And they're Tetris blocks.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to figure out how to Tetris while you're dealing with obstacles, whether it's just like, hey, cross this chasm, or there's a rising level of water that you really have to deal with. And it was so fun to switch back and forth between being the platformer and the puzzle person, because the roles are so different. And usually it means the platform person is yelling at the Tetris person to do better.
Yeah, once you got the hang of things, it was very satisfying and things started to move a lot faster. So I'm really interested to see like late game chaos in that game, but very, very fun. And then the last one I had to shout out was Constance, which this was one that friend of the show, Kate from No Small Games, shouted out on our most anticipated episode as well. So I made sure to check it out on my radar. But another very cool Metroidvania 2D platformer, beautiful, beautiful hand-painted art style. A paintbrush is like a core mechanic of the game, but once I got later in the demo, I thought this one had a really nice fluid motion akin to a Celeste, where you're quickly moving through these levels and you're timing actions. You have this almost like dash warp ability with your paintbrush where you're warping through these like dark matter ink blot things. And so there's sequences where it's like, okay, I have to dash, jump, dash, double jump, do these things and like really time things up. So as a platforming sicko, I thought this one hit a lot, and it looks beautiful as well.
They had another game, BTK or BTF, in their booth, the Berlin Apartment, that also looks kind of rad too. Good. Yeah, sad I missed that booth.
I played that one at Day of the Devs in SF a couple months back, but super rad if you enjoy first person narrative, Edith Finch, Gone Home vibes. Really, really cool.
My final quick hit on here is CYBRLICH and the Death Cult of Labor. This was in the PAX Rising area. It is a boomer shooter, but it looks hand-drawn. It is mostly black and white and red, and it just looks like metal as fuck. And so it's something that I believe they just announced the game. They may be doing a Kickstarter on this one, if I remember correctly. But just the art style in itself. At one point you're just smoking a blunt while you're using a sword and guns to kill skeletons, and sometimes your gun will shoot like fire bombs. Like this is one you have to see. Even in GIF form, I think you will fully understand what this game's all about. You take down an evil corporation in this game, so sign me up.
Hell yeah.
Those are all the titles we saw that we want to talk about. PAX East 2026 next year is moving back to the March time frame. It's going to be between March 26th and March 29th. Do we feel good? Do we feel bad? Winter, welcome.
Little bummed.
They're cowards.
In theory, GDC is going to still be happening around that same time, so I'm like, why can't we just separate things? It's a tricky balance though, because like, this is kind of almost butting up to SGF when they had it in May this year. So it's always going to be like close to something, but it's nice to space things out and spread the love is all I'll say. But
big agree.
Personally, sorry, Jacob, I don't have a horse in this race, whether it's March. I mean, I did kind of like the weather. It rained a couple of times, but overall I'm like, it was kind of nice this year, but you're just moving it once. You're a coward. Stick to your guns, commit for at least a couple years. And granted, I know from like listening to the RTX, this is a way big throwback, but listening to the Rooster Teeth podcast like over a decade ago and hearing them playing RTX back in the day and how they had to like reserve their convention center a year, maybe a year plus in advance to even get it. I'm sure there were factors outside of whatever happened this PAX that influenced them to go back. And maybe the only reason they went up this time is because maybe somebody snuck in and grabbed it from them before they could do it, go with the original date this year. But you're still a coward. because it seems like you're just running back to the old date without ever giving the new date a chance. You know what I'm saying? It's like running back to your ex after going on one little date with like a new person. You know?
Yeah, I'd love to know like what the logic, like what's the why behind. Did people complain? Did they get fewer turnout? Because we did mention that this was more of a mellow situation. So did fewer devs and publishers want to be involved? I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
And yeah, I know we got to keep this show rolling,
No,
but
you're
we
fine.
did get the email for PAX West.
Yes.
And, you know, the PAX West headliners seem like they're the same PAX East headliners, which were the same headliners from the previous year. Can we?
It's interesting. And on that note, because I feel what you're feeling, but now we have, because between West and East this past year, ton of space. This time around, not that much space again.
12 weeks, basically.
Right. And so it's an interesting thing where it's like, on the dev publishing side, there's only so, for these games that go regularly, like there's only so much you're going to be able to change when you have public facing demos with very little time in between, especially if members of the team are taking time off to then go to these. I digress, but
I mean,
it's interesting.
You're not wrong, but Larian Studios being one of the headliners when they don't have any games and they just sell merch and have the same little photo booth every year. I'm just saying, I would love to see us platform some other thing, or like change up the formula to somehow makes PAX Rising a bigger thing. It's always like a really small thing, and all the games in PAX Rising are great every year. But meanwhile, we're headlining Larian, who I love Larian, I love Baldur's Gate 3, but they have not shown anything over the past 4 years.
But like, to that point, how cool would it be to like double or triple the size of PAX Rising to allow more smaller devs
that's what I'm
in
saying.
there? Yeah, I'm with you.
I'm saying let's do this.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm looking for is more like, or not more, but different events. You know, this is the first year where I've considered like maybe Play NYC is the thing that, because I know that's part of Anime NYC now, but that's closer for me as the only East Coaster on this show. You know, I'm starting to think like, yo, I've said this for years, guys. You know this. We joked about it off mic, but you know, I keep going. Do I need to do 2 PAXs every year? Like, of course, friendship. But from a games to see perspective, you know, no.
Well, and to that too, like there's tons of events. So if variety is the thing of, you know, maybe listeners should check out Portland Retro Gaming Expo in the fall, or SGF adjacent things, or all the Day of the Devs events that pop up, or, you know, there's a lot of ways you can get the in-person experience at a gaming event, which is cool. More the merrier in that regard, have options, but
not to throw back to Dune Awakening, but you know, variety is the spice of life, right?
There you go. And this is going to be related to what I've been doing, but I posted an article, like one of my first articles in a long time.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I'm going to do more. I'm going to like do a roundup of all my favorite games and everything. But it was an article kind of talking about how the connection between fans and games doesn't really exist anymore. Like, I posted some pictures of like PAX 2018, 2019. And the pictures you see like Hitman 2, you see the Bungie booth in the background. But then you also see like this incredibly gorgeous Gree setup, which Gree, not the biggest game in the world, but that was a game that told people, hey, this is a cool indie project that's coming out. Here's your first chance to play it on the PAX West show floor. I feel like nowadays, especially with the headliners being kind of the same headliners over and over, PAX is not really like a pulse on the industry as much as it was a couple years ago for like the average fan, right? If I don't listen to every video game podcast and I'm not checking every video game news site, like I come to PAX and I'm still kind of in the dark about some of the biggest stuff that's coming out. Like, I'm talking about stuff like Baby Steps is something you'd probably see at PAX back in the day. Like Mina the Hollower, I know they're still working on that, but that's kind of disappeared. Like, a lot of the big tentpole moments on an indie level are also just kind of absent, which is kind of a bummer, because I felt like the first couple years of PAX that we started going, or me and you, Luke, I know Jacob is an ancient old man, so he was at the very first PAX or some shit like that. But like, when we went, it was literally everything. It was like, oh, we can see the new trailer for Death Stranding, and we can also play, this very popular indie game that ultimately is going to blow up in a year or two.
Yeah.
So hopefully, because I don't think any other, speaking of what Jacob is saying, I don't think any other event captured that as well as PAX did in the day.
Sure.
And E3 is not really around anymore. I guess there's SGF, but like that's kind of exclusive. I really would love there to be one like Comic-Con level event where gamers could come and say, "Oh shit, this is the whole suite of what I can look forward to as a consumer over the next 2 to 3 years."
And it's interesting too, because like we have Gamescom, which like in terms of scale is on that level, and in terms of like investment from bigger third-party publishers and things like that, it's definitely on that level. But
yeah,
they're definitely, putting on my PR hat for just a sec, there is definitely a push towards digital events, towards creating individual moments for your game announcement, and that I can't speak for giant big third-party publishers, but it definitely seems there's a push of like, why spend money on in-person events when we can own the moment online, be a part of a digital showcase for far less money, but see more wish list traction, see more visibility on our game, see all these things. So, but to your point, it does affect the vibe of these events going forward. So it is interesting.
I'll make sure to link your article in the show notes if folks want to read it. Has the physical connection between fans and content been severed? That'll be on can'tpause.com, so check the resources if you want to have a read there. Before we wrap, I know we are running long here, but I just want to shout out the homies at 61 Indie. Mike, Kyle, Becca, Kelsey, Harry, Austin, Clancy, the list goes on and on. They put on a phenomenal showcase, probably, dare I say, one of the best ever in the indie space. Genuinely, that's kind of the way I felt, just from a pacing and curation standpoint. And they got a couple of banger announcements in there, including what they closed on. They are doing publishing now, which is wild. We are just infinitely proud of those boys and girls and folks. And we're just going to run through a couple of our faves that we saw on the actual show itself. I believe they had 48 games in 75 minutes, including the PD's Play Now pre-show, where they covered games that were already out. I think the first one is one that that blew up my mind when I saw it, and I didn't even write it on here. I think maybe Hooper, you did. Hotel Barcelona.
I think
this
I
is
did.
The new game.
Yeah.
Oh, Luke
this
did.
Is,
This is the new game from Swery 65 and Suda 51.
Suda.
Crazy.
Let's fucking go. Yeah, I was very excited for this one. Just give a quick disclaimer before we jump into 6-1 stuff. I do work for Vicarious PR. I do help do PR support for the showcase. I am not remotely involved in any of the curation or production of the showcase itself. So take my thoughts with a grain of salt. I love all these games. I love all these folks.
Hey, Luke, good job.
Carry on. I emailed people that the thing was really cool. That was my part.
Great job. Good email. Hotel Barcelona is it looks like a side-scrolling game with the style of something like a No More Heroes, but even more twisted and psychedelic. This one is coming soon. Yo, you just said Suda and Swery, and I said sign me up. Just I'll give you my money now.
Yep.
So that's Hotel Barcelona. We also had A Week in the Life of an Asocial Giraffe. Luke, is this yours?
It is. You give me a unique point and click adventure game with some good humor, some cute art, I'm in. I want to play as the Asocial Giraffe. Let's go. Demo available now.
Click. Demo out now. One Way Home is one that was also from Cyberhead, which looked like small character, big world, in the vibe of a Play Dead game, right, Luke?
Yeah, but also then like third person for this one, but very interesting vibes. Looks real cool. Looks real scary, but I want to play it. Or I guess there's also 2D perspective. It plays around with perspective. There's a lot going on with this one.
Much like Bionic Bay that just came out, it kind of
Yeah.
there's parts that look like that, but there's also, you know, the inside, hey, run towards the camera and other perspectives. Look absolutely rad. Demo on Steam now. Make sure to wishlist these games. We'll make sure to link it out. The show closed with something wild and weird called Dino Blade.
Did you guys see the like viral clip years ago when this was popping off? Okay.
Did not.
I did, yeah.
I think I did, but then I didn't make the connection when I saw this trailer until later. But this looks dumb fun. Big dumb fun in a good way.
Yeah.
So that closed the show. What opened the show is the new title coming from Insert Disc 5, the folks who made In Stars in Time. This was Truth Scrapper, which, what was the line they were saying? It's just like something about mysteries and lesbians. And I was like, yes, just give me another one of those games, please. It looks like kind of it has a time loop thing, much like, you know, In Stars in Time played with time. But this is more of a mystery where you have a spell book of things that you can choose to remember. Look, just get the game and I'll buy it. I loved what I played. I didn't finish In Stars in Time, but I really liked it. And Toxic Lesbians, that was it, with a branching storyline. So that one is Truth Scrapper. Big get for the boys and girls and folks at 6-1. And then I had two more just to cover really quick. Forbidden Solitaire, which is the new game of the Night Signal Entertainment. They did Home Safety Hotline, and so this very much cops that same vibe, but solitaire. And so I saw it, and they had an FMV sort of...
The trailer was so fun. Yeah, it was really cool.
So good. So good. And then my last one that I wanted to cover is Kabuto Park, which again just looks like a bug catching / Pokemon game. So I was super into that. Gugu Pizza was in the PD's Play Now pre-show.
Yeah.
Do you want to cover that, Hoop?
Yeah, it's like 2.5D. It's one of those like Octopath Traveler games where the lighting is all cool and advanced, but then we're still dealing with pixel art. You're just delivering pizzas. It was very fun, and everybody should go look at it and play it when it comes out, because who doesn't like delivering pizzas as a pigeon?
I think because it was in the Play Now pre-show, that Gugu Pizza might be out, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me see.
I will double check that.
It is out.
Steam page
it's
up.
out.
Yeah.
Yes, it is out.
$7.
Hoop's like, buy. Cop it. Lots of fun stuff. They also got the announcement for the 1000X Resist vinyl, which kind of went crazy.
Cool.
Super cool. Bobo Bay is a, legally distinct Chow Garden game. Towndro got frickin' vinyl and Chow Garden game. Talk about a Towndro coded showcase, Luke.
Real quick, another out now one that I meant to shout out as well. Equinox Homecoming.
Oh yeah, weird.
This crazy horse girl meets like horror mystery in the back half there. Like it started very cozy, very chill, and then quickly went in some dark directions. But I'm quite intrigued. I will say.
That one's in early access now.
Yes, available right now, $24.99 from Blue Scarab Entertainment.
Rad.
Sure, that was hilarious.
The show is absolutely worth your time. So if you've not seen it yet, do us a favor. Just wait for the end of this show and then click onto that show immediately after and watch it, because it is 100% worth your time. And that's our show for today. And so just a couple of pieces of housekeeping here at the end. I'm going to link that article from Camp Pause that Joseph put together for PAX. If you are interested in hearing or seeing the panel that I put together with a bunch of jokers, CG Danny B, Dave Jackson, Trina Smith, Dan O'Mac, Lightweight Gaming, and Steve Saylor, that is available now on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Jacob McCourt. It is a wild and chaotic hour and 10-minute experience, if you will, where we debate the capitalistic inclinations of Tom Nook, and then also scream the iCarly theme song. So just the level of chaos you come to expect for video game trivia, that's available now on my YouTube channel. So please, if you like this, if you like my brand of chaos, please check that out.
Hell yeah.
And shout out to Luke for helping me film that, and shout out to Hooper for putting together the points on that. I haven't gone back and double checked the points, Hoop, but I think you probably did a great job at the math.
They were right.
They were right. No, that was a great
Luke,
panel.
Any shout outs before you jump on a content break here?
Yeah, quick shout out. As of this recording, this week should be going up. Claire and I are doing our big finale season wrap up for HBO's The Last of Us season 2. We are very behind, but we're doing a big, massive episode on the last few episodes that we haven't talked about yet. So lots to discuss there. And then otherwise, we're taking a big content break there. So we will be back at an undetermined date in July.
July or August. You're coming back for
sometime in there. Well, no, crossplay for sure coming back. Lukewarm Games, we're tooling around with some stuff, but content will be happening from Claire and I in the future. So
hell yeah.
Rest assured.
And again, look for that Dune Awakening interview that's coming later this week on this channel.
Yes.
Hooper, besides the article, anything you want to promote?
Check out my YouTube channel. There may or may not be a video up by the time this comes out. If there's no video up, check back a week later, and then there will be a video up.
Do you have a publishing day, or is it whenever you feel like it?
Just whenever I feel like it, baby boy.
Great. And then I was going to say, but then if there isn't a video, just go back and watch every other video on the channel 100 times.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
well
all
done,
those
everyone.
games are still valid.
Yeah, they're still good.
My friends, I have 4 pieces of final housekeeping for you. Like I mentioned, please subscribe to us on YouTube because it really helps juice the old algorithm when you subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on BlueSky because that's where we're publishing dates for our upcoming shows. We've got a Switch 2 episode coming. We've got a Summer Game Fest episode coming, and then maybe something special that we'll tease later for our second year, or rather year 3 of this show, second year anniversary, year 3. Send this podcast to a friend because that's how people hear about podcasts. Give us a review on your podcasting platform of choice because that is something that really helps. And with that, I leave you with friends. We are locked in. Bye. No context on what that means, but we're locked in.
Never.
We're locked in.